Hey everyone, I'm back. Anyways, I was at the gym today, which I go pretty much every pretty much 6 days a week, and just to keep me moving and keep my body functioning and stuff. And anyways, I just thought that maybe we should touch base on some of the things as a person with a traumatic brain injury with body related issues should go over with you guys. And the one thing, as I was doing my workout, which is, I'm just going to touch on a little bit, is very, very important. Okay. Exercise, whether you have a brain injury or you have any sort of things going on with you, or you're perfectly fine, you really need to make sure that you do some sort of physical activity on a regular basis. One, because it helps, obviously it helps keep the muscles going. If you don't use them, you lose them, right? They atrophy. So people think, oh, my skeleton's what keeps me going or keeps me upright. No, it's actually your muscles. Your skeleton's there, but your muscles are what moves you and keeps you going and allows you to do certain activities. And it's okay when you're younger, but as we age, unfortunately, the body does, not use the same muscle as it used to. They all atrophy and they become weaker and stuff. So it's very, very important that we have some sort of physical activity on a regular basis to keep ourselves going and active, and not only for our physical strength and endurance, but for our mental strength and endurance too, right? So when I get very, very stressed out or upset with things or whatever, if I go and I work out, I listen to some good music and I allow my brain to shut off those ruminating thoughts that I have about things or whatever, then it does help me relax. So the other thing I was thinking about in terms of we should talk about is not just for brain injury related issues, but definitely for people that have any sort of underlying medical problems that they may not even be aware of that they have. And that is inflammation in the body. Okay. And if you have inflammation in the body, you'll know, because your body will be extended, you'll feel bloated, feel uncomfortable, and it's a reaction basically to your food that you're eating. Okay. So, and I get this all the time, which I never had before, but if I have let's say eggs, which is an inflammatory food, oh my gosh, it's okay for the first few hours, but after the fact, my goodness, let me tell you, my joints start to hurt. I become extended in the abdomen. I feel terrible. I have bathroom issues, and the list goes on. But my joints, whew, and I don't have rheumatoid arthritis, which is a whole different, what they say, autoimmune, and autoimmune is subjective to depending on who you ask. But autoimmune really is, we don't know exactly what is going on. We just know that you have an inflammation issue in your body or a response to things that are going on in your body. So I thought I'd go over how important that inflammation is, and basically trying to make sure that you don't have inflammation in your body. And you can have acute inflammation or chronic, and if you're constantly eating bad stuff all the time and your body is inflamed and your joints are inflamed, guess what? That affects your brain. Okay, we have a huge issue these days when you look around and you hear people say about depression and about mental states and different things that are going on with how people are feeling, and yes, partially to do with stress, but honestly, we have to stop and look at everything that we are consuming, whether it's drinks, whether it's when I mean drinks, alcoholic, sodas, sports drinks, Gatorades, you name it, everything that has a lot of things in it that is bad for us. Okay. And so we're creating our own problems here, unfortunately. So when it comes to a brain injury, if you have a lot of chronic inflammation because, say your nervous system's not working properly and the brain's not connecting to the gut properly, and et cetera, now you start adding in all these inflammatory substances, whether it's foods or drinks or whatever it may be. Well, not only does it inflame, obviously, the body, because there's your stomach and your liver and the list goes on, but you also have to consider how that affects your brain, right? Again, we seem to cut our body off into pieces, and so if the body has an inflammatory issue, guaranteed, like, it's gonna have, your brain's gonna be inflamed too, right? And it's gonna be hot and not comfortable, and it won't be functioning properly, and then we get depression, then we have mood issues, then we can't focus, we have brain fog, and the list goes on and on and on. And I don't want to bore you with all the complete, list of details. If somebody really wanted to know more about it in complete detail, they can always contact me. But anyways, I just wanted to go over some of the primary things when I wrote out a list, because again, brain injury, you remember lots and forget even more. Things that people should consider regarding when they're eating, right? Not only does the body, obviously, with inflammation, cause a lot of issues within the body, it also, like, if you're eating a lot of inflammatory foods, it alters the bacteria, which there's good and bad bacteria in your stomach, so it'll alter that also. And obviously that's a big problem, right? Because we need good and bad bacteria to help break down our food, and all those digestive processes. The other thing that obviously is that it's going to now make your liver inflamed. And when you look around, there's a huge epidemic of liver issues, and you can see this a mile away with people. And excuse me, nose is running. They are walking around and they don't even realize that they have non-alcoholic fatty liver disease or alcoholic fatty liver disease. And this comes down to, again, all the inflammation, and you can see it right in the belly. It's amazing, even in the morning, for example. And again, I try not to eat inflammatory foods, but sometimes you jump off the wagon, and I think it's really to remind yourself how bad it actually is. But you can look in the mirror first thing in the morning and think, oh, I look pretty good, and then you go and have, let's say, eggs as an example, and next thing you know, you look like you're 3 months pregnant, and you feel horrible, and you want to go to sleep and all these other things, because then you just feel like blah. Anyways, so the liver is very, very important in this inflammation issue too. So we need to try to keep our bodies as healthy as we possibly can, especially if we have some underlying health issues like a brain injury. Okay, so let's go over some of the foods that will cause inflammation in your body. And one is obviously red meat. You'll also have, like, your processed meats. Processed meats, like, if you're going to pick your top 4 things that you shouldn't eat ever, and one would be processed meats. And that's like your sandwich meats and everything with nitrates and stuff in it. Second would be obviously sugar, right? For the most part, everybody knows about sugar, and we shouldn't be eating sugar, right? It does some pretty nasty things in the body. It definitely disturbs the gut balance, okay, of everything that you need in your stomach, and your alkalinity and acidity. It throws that off, and then we wonder why we end up with cancer, because a lot of times we're very, very acidic. Anyways, and speaking of that, a good way to test to see if you have a gut balance from alkalinity to acidity is you can get those little spit sticks or pool sticks that'll show these things, and you lick it or spit on it, or do other things, and it'll give you a pretty good reading. You can get that at your pharmacy. So the other thing is obviously, like I said, sugar, and that goes with, your sodas and your coffees and everything that you may put sugar in or has added sugar. Even like fruit juices now have like added calcium, which don't get me started with that. because that's that whole calcium thing is one big lie. But adding, you know, extra sugar to things where there's no need to do this, right? There's natural sugars within the oranges to begin with. So that's a big no-no. Sugar is like on the top of the big no's, right? I know that we have like addiction to sugars and everything when you walk down the aisle. I'm really surprised at some of the grocery stores I see here in the United States, and it's just like one frozen aisle of ice cream, and you're like, seriously, ice cream? And sweets and this and that, sugar, and we wonder why we have major problems and inflammation in the body and autoimmune issues, etc., etc. Okay, so please stay away from that. I also said I touched based on eggs. Eggs do inflame the body. Some people don't have a reaction to this, and some people do. Eggs are really not what they're cut out to be. Yes, it's a source of protein, but honestly, there's better sources of proteins than that, okay? So limiting the amount of eggs is definitely beneficial for some people too. Okay, dairy does create inflammation in the body, and so I would be avoiding that if you can. Yes, and I know you're probably thinking, oh my gosh, Shannon, you know, by the time you're done this list, we have nothing to eat but broccoli. Well, pretty much. So anyways, any processed foods are going to inflame the body. And the other thing that you should really look at is that if you're looking at processed foods, if there's stuff that you cannot read on the label, you don't know what it is, you shouldn't be eating it. Seriously, you shouldn't be eating it. Why would you? Right? And but we do. We think, oh, it tastes great because there's salt and sugars and all these things that, you know, these companies are very smart, and they know what is going to drive you to eat these things. So people do. They gobble all these things up, not knowing that honestly that a lot of this stuff is not good for them. And again, you know, you might be okay now, but guaranteed when you start getting some underlying health issues or you start to get older, things accumulate. Really, they really do. And the body finally says, okay, people, that's it. I've had enough. I'm checking out, right? So that's what happens. And then we have, you know, inflammation in the body and what have you. Okay, alcohol, obviously that's a given because it has wheat products in it and refined wheat that is used from alcohol or in alcohol, plus the sugars and stuff is not going to obviously do you any good, right? So trying to minimize that type of stuff, and obviously refined carbohydrates such as white breads, etc. Fried foods, right? All those like fats and oils and stuff, they do cause inflammation in the body. What else can I go over here? Trans fats, again, all the fats. So I know as a society, we know what is good for us and what's not good for us. But it's so, you know, easy to get that we think that this is normal now and these are good foods for us. And in fact that they're not, okay? So we want to keep as much of the inflammation out of the body as we can. And so if you're going to have or try to have a better healthier lifestyle, and it's not about like, oh, I'm healthy or whatever. No, it's because you don't want to be feeling horrible, you know, whether it's 5 years down the road, whether it's 10 years down the road or whatever. It's all right when you're young and your body, you know, hasn't finally said, okay, enough. And then we go, oh, I've got this problem, I've got that problem, and blah, 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 blah. And for somebody like myself who has had a severe brain injury, and how my brain started changing the rest of my body, like my gut and my liver and stuff. Now, when I eat certain foods, a lot of foods actually, that I'm extremely sensitive to because things just aren't jiving the same way they used to. Like I could eat everything before, but now if I have eggs or if I have dairy, I'll get that like a phlegmy lump in my throat, right? So you're like, and you're trying to clear your throat all the time. Well, there's, you know, you've got some allergy issues and some reaction there. And the body is saying, nope, sorry. right? Same with acid reflux. If you've got acid reflux, you know, what do they want to do? They want to give you, you know, a Pepto-Bismol tablet or something to calm the acid. Well, that's not really the case. You want to ask the questions, why? Why am I having this? And usually the answer is because the body's not processing the food properly. So what can I do to help that? And but we're looking for some band-aided answers, and not really taking full control of our own bodies. So again, if you want to make sure, especially if you have brain-related issues, whether it's concussions, whether it's, you know, traumatic brain injuries or acquired brain injuries or whatever, having a diet that has zero or minimizing anything that you would eat that has an inflammatory response in the body is extremely, 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 and I cannot extremely enough, say that, you know, you're not only affecting your body, but your brain. And just because you may not realize that there is that gut-brain connection, at the time you just think, oh, I'm really foggy, or I just don't feel well, or I've got a headache, or whatever. You have to understand what you're doing is really making things worse for yourself. So honestly, get moving, whether it's outside for walks, go to the gym, do something with some friends to get some exercise, whatever it may be that helps you. Get out there, really start taking responsibility for what you're eating, okay, and what you're doing with your body. Again, don't think of it as just like, oh, well, now. You have to think of the long-term effects, okay, guys? So, and it's an ongoing battle. You know, every day people say, oh, why do you go to the gym every day or whatever? It's like, do you think that I'm there because, you know, I'm addicted to working out or exercising? Absolutely not. I would much rather sit, knowing what I know, sit on the couch with a big bowl of popcorn with lots of butter and watch a good movie. But the reality is that that's not what I can do. So I, you know, drag myself out in the morning and I go do what I need to do. And I always feel better after. I really, really do. So I do my exercises, and I watch, you know, everything that I put in my mouth, because guaranteed it'll come back to haunt me if I don't. And, you know, as with people that have had brain injuries, we all know, like, every day is a battle. Every day is a special day. And we may get up and people see us walking around and talking and we look okay because the wounds have healed that they can see, but it's the interior stuff that we battle every day, okay? From how we feel with our moods, to how we function with people, to how our bodies are functioning. And if I can give any sort of tidbits or insight or whatnot to anybody, whether you have brain injury, concussion, still brain injury, or some general conditions that you're not even sure about or why things are happening, you know, you guys can always reach out and talk to me. I'm trying to keep things pretty basic on these videos so people understand them, but things are very, very important, and we need as much help as we can all get from each other to survive this world that we've created. And yeah, anyways, so that's that. If anybody wants any more information about the details and medical details of inflammation and food in the body, you're more than welcome to reach out, and we'll chat later. All right, hope everybody's doing well, and finally enjoying some nicer weather. And yeah, we'll talk to you soon. Bye, everybody.